Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our September 19th regular meeting of the School Board of Trustees for the School City of Hammond. Can all please face the flag?
Well, let me introduce who we have doing the pledge first
I'm
tonight.
sorry.
Yes. We have our Harding Huskies with us, so students, if you want to come up to the microphone, you're going to lead us in the pledge. And if everyone would please stand and face the flag.
All right, thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, guys. Ray, you want to? I'll let you call out the name so I don't mispronounce anyone.
Why don't you guys stand up, please? You guys stand up right here so everybody can see you. Okay. Rosendo Alvarez, and then come up right here, please. Rylan Beristain. Not here. I saw him this morning. Shelby Brown. Okay. Okay. Peyton Hayden. Alejandro Huerta. Zoe Schultz, Emma Turner, and Samaya Wells. I'd also like to take a minute to introduce Mrs. Monica Sarin, our student support specialist. She's taken a very special interest the last 3 years in our sixth graders, and this is our group of student ambassadors. So I'd like to call on Mrs. Sarin just to talk for 1 second about all the, all the great work.
Some of your parents, if you want.
I'd like to introduce Mrs. Monica Sarin. She is going to talk a little bit about our sixth grade student ambassadors.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to work with our students this year. I'm the student support specialist at Harding, and these are the students that have been picked to be ambassadors this year. They help in the morning with the students in the cafeteria, helping the kindergartners get to their classrooms. They're going to be buddied up with other classrooms to help younger students learn how to read, and they're also going to be our No Place for Hate group that will help our school talk about no bullying and just trying to make our school a better place. So I'm very proud of them. Good job.
All right. Roll call. Trustee Blake King.
We're here.
Trustee Spencer.
Present.
Trustee Murphy.
Present.
Trustee Candelaria.
Present.
All right, all trustees are here and accounted for. Superintendent Miller.
All right, we have two presentations tonight. The first is from one of our partners, Books, Brushes, and Bands. So please welcome up to the podium.
Hello. Good to see you all again. I was here last year as well, introducing our first MOU contract. This year, there are just a few updates that I wanted to go over, and also thank you all for continuing to work with us as a community partner. So last year, we gave over $3,000 in discounts to Hammond students, or students from School City of Hammond who are in the choir and orchestra programs for Books, Brushes, and Bands. This year, we look forward to continuing that partnership, holding the classes in the Hammond Central High School classes. I've worked with Dr. Sandra Davis of HAPA to coordinate this contract and make sure all the dates work and there are no conflicts with HAPA events, because I know that is also a priority, definitely for the school city. A large detail that we've added into this year's MOU is some posts on Peach Jar, which are going to be paid for through School City so that we can add one post at the beginning of each semester to communicate with students. Was that a question? Or yes, so that we can have one post at the beginning of each semester to advertise our music classes at the, through Peach Jar digitally. And I've worked with Nate George to make sure that is set up and ready to go. And then the other update to the MOU is a request for a school representative. We are trying to figure out the best way to engage with the school communities, connect with student families in Hammond and beyond, and we think that working directly with school communities, having someone in each building, specifically for the elementary schools and middle schools, will be helpful so that we can be at more open house events and after-school family events to connect with parents and inform them of our resources. Right now, we get a lot of that information from individual sporadic partners, like I've been working with Mary Moriarty of the Community Schools Program to get the dates for the Scott Middle School and Eggers open houses. But we just want to make sure that we have coverage across all the elementary schools. So October 10th, I've scheduled to be at the principals meeting, and at that meeting, we would like to ask all the principals to help us connect with a specific person. And that is the other update in this year's MOU. I'm not sure if you'll have any questions or comments, but I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King?
I would just like to say I'm extremely proud to see the growth of you, Mr. Brundage.
Thank you.
I remember when you started as just in the band, doing your thing, and believe it or not, your father, he was in my Sunshine Band at church. So we go way back. And to see you in this position, I'm so proud, and you're doing such a tremendous job. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy?
I apologize to the superintendent. So how do you envision this contact person in the elementaries? I mean, they have enough duties already, or just getting them hooked up with, you know, maybe Power Square and what, like, parents get upcoming events? Or that can save that for another time?
So it'll likely be the assistant principal is the person, but I'll leave it to the principal to decide who best in their building will be the contact person.
Could you repeat that, Mr. Miller, and speak into the mic, please?
Sure. The question was, Ian mentioned there would be a contact person for books, brushes, and bands at each school. Trustee Murphy was asking who that would likely be. We're going to let the principals decide who, but my thinking it will likely be the assistant principal would be the one who would be the contact person.
If I could add,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
if there are schools that have roles like a student support specialist, that may also be a good person to help with that. We don't want to take up any more of this person's work time. We really want to just be there to add resources and make sure that we are hearing the most up-to-date dates on things. Yes, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board or from the superintendent?
Just their MOU is on the new business agenda tonight. That's why I had Ian come and speak.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Brundage.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, Superintendent Miller?
Trustees, our second presentation is from Mr. Kurtz, our CFO, on our monthly financials from August.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, and Superintendent. This is our monthly financial report for the period ending August 31st of 2023. On the summary page, if we look at the grid at the top, I'm going to call your attention to our 1100 self-insurance fund with that balance of $441,000. That balance does include $2.4 million in temporary loans. So again, as we've talked about, our self-insurance fund is in need of assistance. Probably the correct course of action is to set the premium equivalent, which means how much we would pay in for participant, and then the actual split of that premium equivalent would be a subject of negotiations between School City of Hammond and the various bargaining units that we negotiate with. But the first step to probably getting this back on track is to set an appropriate premium equivalent for each type of insurance that we have, and then we leave the employee-employer split to the bargaining process. Moving down into our year-to-date, our education fund is about just under 5% under budget. Our operating referendum fund is about 18% under budget, and our operations fund is 16% over budget. We will have our first payroll of the new school year that will occur the beginning of September. Those aren't reflected in this financial yet. We've continued to make the education fund, operations fund transfers as scheduled. I do show the temporary transfers, the $1.4 million and $1 million to the self-insurance fund, and then the $122,500 into our pension debt service fund. Looking at our ESSER funds at the very bottom of the page, ESSER 2 really ends as of the end of this month, and then we have until the beginning of December to liquidate those funds, so everything has to be fully encumbered. Encumbered really means that there is an irrevocable order if it's items and supplies, or the work has been performed if it's a salary or payroll. So that fund is going to be wrapped up here with fully encumbrance as of the end of September or September 30th, and fully liquidated by December. ESSER 3 is still underway. If we look at ESSER 3, it still has a few $100,000 that hasn't been fully committed, and we're obviously going through ESSER 3 to make sure things are on track. Both of these ESSERs have salaries and benefits in them, so the salaries and benefits to ESSER 2 really end as of the payrolls that occur on or before September 30th. There are orders pending for equipment and those kind of things that we have to receipt, and pay for, and seek the reimbursement by December. ESSER 3 has a similar deadline just 1 year later on September 30th of 2024. Any questions on the summary page?
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King.
just a question regarding the present. Can that be blown up any bigger? Because I see our audience is trying to read it. Or is that it?
Not by me, but I think our...
Well, I'm just asking a
technician
question. Can it be zoomed up a little bit? So it won't be so hard for the...
So these are loaded in board docs, so anyone viewing at home
I
can go and
understand that, but
download the
people are here
PDF.
today. Please, they're here. And I asked the question. I know they can go to board docs, but they're present today. And under the ESSER 2-3... Thank you so much. And so can we just do that on a regular basis? I'm sure the public would appreciate that. So anyway, under ESSER 3 funding, the $251,000 that's not unencumbered or uncommitted, is any of that money in there for the loss of learning for our students?
Well, if it's uncommitted and unencumbered, it really hasn't had an identified source.
Okay, I get that.
So
I'm hoping, I don't have to ask this question again. I have been begging you all to use this funding for the loss of learning. Because my understanding that that's basically why I was excited about this $65 million from the Biden community coming to the city of Hammond to help our kids with the loss of learning. So, moving forward, if at the next meeting or sometime soon, for myself and for the public, let's see what we're going to do with these remaining dollars for the loss of learning, considering our test scores, and that's my major concern. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kurtz, I want to give you the opportunity to finish your response since you were interrupted.
Loss of learning is included in the things we do as a school. Loss of learning doesn't have a super strict definition. I know there is dollars that's set aside for tutoring during school and after school. And, we're trying to do more to find students that will participate in that tutoring and that extra help, as well as people that can perform that work. There's other investments that have been made to try to reverse the learning loss out of those funds. And I know that, we've looked at them several times, and we can look at them again with the board members and with others who are interested.
All right, any other questions from the board on this particular page? Trustee Blake King.
Well, go ahead, Trustee Murphy.
Trustee Murphy.
All right, a couple questions on the first page. So you knew I was going for self-insurance. Do you think there's enough money in there to the end of the year?
No.
Do you have an estimate on how much more we're going to have to go?
At this point, I think, since we loaned the fund $2.4 million through the end of September, I believe the prudent thing to do is begin to expense a higher level of cost into that fund so there's dollars available, but not position it as a loan. We'll just have to charge excess insurance costs back into our budget. Because even if we are able to correct our effective premiums, that's really starting January 1st of next year. So we have to deal with the past year of underfunding our insurance. So I believe the prudent response is going to be for us to expense what we can expense, and we do have some money in ESSER that was designed to subsidize our self-insurance plan as a result of increased costs due to COVID. So we'll try to capture those funds.
And that's already encumbered, correct?
Yes, it's either committed or encumbered. So I don't know if we issued a purchase order to ourselves, but it's earmarked within those budgets. There's an amount within the ESSER 2, and we'll probably have to see if we can get an amount or already have an amount within ESSER 3. But at this point, continuing to loan the fund, the self-insurance fund money, isn't probably the proper thing to do. We just need to recognize it as our insurance costs are higher. As the board asked, I just received looking at moving to a fully insured plan, but it would have a cost of about $2 to $3 million more, including the run out. So I don't think that's really an option for us to switch to a fully insured plan. But I haven't fully gone through the proposal and the calculations, so I'll get that out later this week.
All right, my next question is on the operations fund. What are we going to do? We're coming up on another budget cycle to get it to where you're doing with education and operating referendum. I'm not seeing how, that's a lot over budget. What are we going to do for next year?
It is a lot over budget. So I really don't have a solid answer. I think my approach right now is to really evaluate where we're going to end up on Wednesday morning, November 8th. Because Wednesday morning, November 8th is going to be a very important time for the school city of Hammond to see if we have to deal with a few $1 million of cuts or $20 million of cuts, with the referendum representing about $15 million a year, and then the ESSER funds and some of the overspending that we have occurring in operations. But it's two very different pictures. One is, $3 or $4 million. The other is close to 20.
Oh, yeah, the other money. Well, my problem with that is you're going to expect us to approve a budget before then. That's why I'm asking the question now. So I'll ask it again when we get to the budget. All right.
So we have the operating referendum for another year. So the budget's
Yes.
going to reflect us having the operating referendum for this entire school year, because we have it for this year.
Yeah, so we'd have it for this entire calendar year of 2023. We have it
Correct.
for
But we're
2024.
over budget.
Correct.
So my question, when we get to the budget meeting, is what are we going to do to correct, at least get it down to zero? I don't care if you get under budget, but if we can get that a lot lower than what it is for over budget. All right, next question. When we were reviewing this stuff before, you had made some comments about that cash balances and how you wanted the cash balances a lot higher because you're worried about payroll and the whole bit. For the next report, unless anybody objects, have on it the average daily sweep amount for the month, or the prior month. So we can see what is in there on an average for the month in case we have a 3-month payroll.
This month, September, is a 3-month payroll.
Wonderful. So I'll be happy to see that number on the next financial report. So again, it's just another one of those numbers like you've been giving us that's about the health of our district.
Yeah, I'll include numbers on a historical cash balance trend because I think it's illustrative to where we are and where we've been. And, you know, essentially our cash balance from, you know, January 1st of 2022 to December 31st of 2022, in that year, last calendar year, we lost about $10.3 million of cash balance. So we took our cash balance from about 10 million down, from 13 million down to 3 million. So it really gives us very little liquidity to deal with, you know, if there was a delay in the state paying us, if any kinds of contingencies, some major roof incident that required an emergency repair, we just don't have the capacity to deal with a significant event. And that's not where we should be.
As much as I love all your reporting, I was hoping just one number on the report, because I don't need a whole new page.
Okay.
You already give us a whole bunch here. So if you could somehow fit that on the summary page, I'd be very appreciative. Thank you.
All right?
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King.
well, have we just, realizing the fact that we, as you indicated, we spent $10.3 million over budget last year, and we can't seem to fund our self-insurance. Well, have we ever sat down and considered spending cuts? Looking at the budget now, don't wait till November 7th or 8th. I mean, we were notified July 14th by DUEP, and I'm sure you were part of the meeting on August 8th when the issue was declining enrollment and our overspending. To me, after that August 8th meeting, you would have had a presentation on spending cuts. Let's cut some of the fat out of this budget. I mean, waiting till November 8th, but in the meantime, the fear of teachers and support staff, you know, of losing jobs, let's start cutting some of the fat out of this budget. And we know there's some fat there. I've indicated on several levels. And I can make some suggestions now, but I won't. But that's what we need to do. Should have done it after the August 8th meeting with DUEP.
All right, comments or questions from other board members?
Madam President,
Trustee Spencer.
Mr. Kurtz, you mentioned that in 2022, we lost over $10 million. Do we have like a major idea of how? Because I know it wasn't 10 million in loss of enrollment, I don't believe.
No, it's a combination of reduced enrollment and over the last 2 years, our raises to employees were about 15.2% year over year. So I believe there was 11.4% increase that occurred that was retro back into 2021 that took effect at the very end of 21, early 22. And then there was a 3.4% increase last year. When you put those together, it's a little over 15%. So that 15% increase that we agreed to and that we bargained at the table with our various represented groups, that percentage increase cascades through our entire financials because 90% of our spending is salaries and benefits. So any cuts that we're going to do that are going to be material and get us into budget and contribute to having improved cash positions is going to be a reduction in our workforce.
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King.
I don't tend to agree that it's going to take reduction in workforce. we have contracts, we have outsourced some of our work that is, in my mind, is duplication of services. We have a department that can handle one particular situation, but yet we tend to outsource it at the tune of $3 million. That makes no sense to me. That's fact. Those are the kinds of things we need to get rid of. Cut it out the budget. Let's look at that as opposed to putting the fear of God in our teachers and support staff that we're going to lose jobs. We need to do our homework. We need to start cutting the fat out of this budget now. And I'll sing that song until November 7th and until it works. And I would hope this board should be making a motion of requesting the finance department to do just that. At least look at something, give us some recommendations that what can be cut now. That's what I'm looking for as a responsible board member.
So the cost containment things that have been implemented already, and even prior to the meeting with DUAB, has been particularly in operations fund funded areas, we have essentially a hiring freeze. We have a process that we are able to thaw the freeze for particular positions. So just because the position was there doesn't mean we're automatically going to fill it if it becomes vacant, because the easiest positions to eliminate that doesn't hurt anyone is a position that's not currently filled. So we're trying to look at where we can maybe reorganize how we do that work and not backfill a position, working to kind of right-size the organization to represent the number of buildings that we're operating, the number of students that we have, and those kind of things began to be implemented prior to our visit with DUAB. So, strategically, I'm not sure that a good move is to lay people off going into an election campaign, but the reality is if the referendum does not pass, there is no possible way for us to bring our budget into alignment without reducing our workforce. There is no way, with all due respect.
Okay, Trustee Murphy.
I like to be blunt. We're talking about Kelly Services.
Yeah.
All right? So we had presentation after presentation. I know that there was some discussion about cost in lieu of subs, that they thought they would be higher and this would help offset it. It didn't actually come to fruition, but stuff is going to be changed for this fall where the administration is going to be overseeing it and hoping that we can reduce those amounts. So I don't know if another month would be a good time to see if we're getting closer to what we're expecting, or do you need to the end of the year for us to review Kelly Services? I, for one, the fact that we're not having classrooms without a sub in them is worth the money we're paying them, all right? Everything has to be weighed out. That is not fat when we need people in the classrooms. So my question to the superintendent is, you wanted more time to work on those things?
Yeah.
So November, December, to come back with a presentation to the board again on the data. Kelly's had some really good data that they brought back to us about subfill rates, and getting those, I always forget the full name, something in lieu of sub costs.
Yeah. It's really the pleasure of the board when they would like to hear an update.
Mr. Miller, speak into the mic, please.
I said it's really the pleasure of the board when they would like an update
In regards to what?
to Kelly Services.
Budget cuts?
No,
What it
just, if you recall, when we did the renewal, one of the things that we anticipated would go down with higher fill rates was our in lieu of sub costs. And we saw that that really was not the case, but we also saw that there was some internal activity where if people took students from more than one teacher, they were getting paid twice. And that was never the intention. So we felt that we could legitimately, with a second try, Mr. Kurtz worked with clerical and the principals to make sure they were clear of these expectations, that we could see that reduction of cost and in lieu of sub that would justify the expense of Kelly and the higher fill rates. I can tell you in August, it was
the high 90%. We had 100% days.
Yeah.
100% of what?
100% fill rate, meaning every teacher that was absent, we had a sub for their classroom.
But let's consider, these folks started out with 100 of our people already. 100 of our folks. You know, it'd be nice if I got a job and somebody, you know, I'm expected to get 200 subs, and then you're going to give me 100 right off the bat. That's a good deal.
I believe they've doubled.
Well, still, they were there. And again, this notion that we can't do it, the staff is still there that did it before. They haven't gone anywhere. So make me understand that.
Go ahead, Trustee Stewart.
So, along the lines of a date for the Kelly presentation, I don't want it too early. I understand that you said in August we had high fill rates, and that's great, but we all know that's the beginning of the year, so there are less call-offs than, say, November, when teachers start to feel burned out. So August, to me, is not true data. I would like it a little bit later so that we can see true data.
How about January, so we have a full semester?
Yeah, our semester ends at holiday break or winter break this year, so.
Yeah, how about January?
I'm good with that.
You know, and then we've got data from the entire semester to look at as we start to think about what we want to do for the following year. Okay, so if there's no
Madam President.
objections to that, we'll just plan for that presentation to be in January on Kelly Services? All right.
What date?
That would be our
I
public work
apologize.
session.
I have a sinus headache and my ears are plugged, and if everybody would just.
It would likely be the
speak to
third-
mic, I appreciate it.
The
Is this
third
thing
Tuesday in
turned up?
January.
The monitors aren't working. I'm having trouble too. Trustee
Okay.
Blaking, the monitors
Thank
aren't
you.
working
I apologize.
tonight, so it's a little off. But it would be, what do you think, in our public work session in January for that
yes.
presentation? So it'd be
That
the
may be too
first
early to have
Tuesday?
the data
Okay.
crunched, but
I'm
we could probably
hoping
try for it.
the third Tuesday in January, we could
So
have
the
it ready.
regular meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, in January. Okay? All right,
So
page two.
moving to the next page, looking at our education fund, we have an ending balance of 4.9 million. The next page is our referendum operating fund. Looking at that balance, it's about 925,000. So if we scroll down one more. So on this, a little further, thank you. So we do have some tax anticipation warrant money that's in there that reflects on the first page in the balance. What this does at the very bottom line, there towards the left that's in gray, that deducts off the $1 million tax anticipation warrant cash that we've put in there for liquidity that has to be paid back at the end of December. So the true balance on that fund is $925,000. The next page looks at our referendum project fund with a balance of $186,431. Further down is our debt service fund with a negative balance of $541,000. Again, these two funds are used to pay back the people that have loaned us money to construct our buildings over the years, so those debt holders get a payment, and these funds get populated with the funds that get collected by Lake County government and that get distributed to us through the property tax payments. On the next page is our pension debt fund. So it has a temporary loan. Again, this fund is with, it really goes back many years with some debt that was issued to buy back like health insurance until retirement, and those kind of things were done. So this fund should go away, I think, after next year. And then the last page
Thank you.
is our operations fund, and this is the one that I spend a lot of time looking at. So it has a negative balance of 2.42 million, and that's after we take back the tax anticipation warrant loan of $4 million. And again, we have $10 million of tax anticipation warrant that we took early in January. We hold that money for liquidity purposes through the last business day of December and then pay that back with interest. And, I expect that we'll have to do tax anticipation warrants for the next several years. But the best business practice will be for us to try to wean ourselves off those TAWs because they're very expensive. They're higher tax rates, and it's really not the best use of funds. So by getting our cash balances up, maybe using that rainy day fund to have our static cash balance that we rely on, should there be a rainy day financially, is the best and prudent financial approach for the school city of Hammond.
All right, any other questions from the board? Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, trustee Candelaria.
Public expression, first period, limited to items on the agenda. Agenda items A through P. First community member is going to be Eunice Jarrett. Thank you. That concludes everyone written in for first session of public expression.
All right, we're going to move on now to unfinished business. Superintendent Miller.
Trustees, you have for your consideration the second reading and final vote on the adoption of board policies, update volume 35, number 2 from April 2023. I have incorporated the changes that were requested from the public works session. There is a change log in board docs detailing those changes.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the policies here as presented?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move that we approve board policies 0141, 0142, 0142.1, 0142.2, 0142.3, 0144.1, 0144.2, 0152, 0164.5, 0167.3, 1213.01, 1425, 1615, 24110, 2461, 2462, 2510, 3124, 3213.01, 3215, 3231, 3362.01, 3425, 4120, 4213.01, 4215, 4425, 5330, 5512, 5517, 5517.01, 5771, 6152, 6250, 6550, 6700, 7434, 7440, 7540.02, 8310, 8451, 9111, with the changes as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion.
Trustee Blake King.
Madam President, Board, I have objection to Board Policy 0164.5. It's regarding member participation in minutes through electronic means of communication. Our Governor, Eric Holcomb, on April 20th of 2021, presented the new rules on virtual attendance. If you read the back page, it clearly indicates the last page of his state statute, the governor's. It reads, those provisions do not apply to executive sessions because final actions cannot be conducted at executive sessions. 50% of membership is required to be physically present in any remote participation by the remainder is appropriate. Therefore, other districts, unlike School City Hammond, does not take that literally. And I have been questioning that as to why we include executive sessions as one of the 2 meetings that a board member has to attend before they can attend virtually. I know Trustee Kelly Spencer shared this with you on several occasions, but yet it falls on deaf ears. It comes directly from Governor Eric Holcomb, but yet it has been eliminated, omitted from this board policy. And therefore, I can't support it until the board follows the directions of Governor Eric Holcomb. Signed into law, period, April 20th, 2021. And even, I can't see Neola eliminating that as part of this recommendation. Thank you.
All right, other comments or questions from the board?
Madam President, it's
Trustee Murphy?
it's just that. It was a recommendation, and we said at a prior board meeting that the Indiana legislature, because this came up before the legislature, actually defined the word meeting in statute. And since I was not prepared, no one mentioned that there was an issue with this board policy. I don't have my notes from that prior meeting, but I read into that prior meeting the statute that said an executive session is a meeting per the Indiana State Legislature. It's right in the code. So that is why we did it the way we did it, because the legislature actually defined a meeting as this. The thing from Governor Holcomb was, again, a recommendation, but it didn't follow what was in statute, which what we did.
Well, unfortunately, you do not have that to share with the public as a matter of record.
Okay, if we want to recess.
And this is not the first time this has not
you have
been
not
brought to your attention.
Trustee Blake
so
King,
you
you're
could have brought it
interrupting.
back to the
Trustee
attention
Blake
at
King.
that time.
Trustee Blake
Thank
King,
you.
no one was interrupting you. Let's let her finish, okay? Trustee Murphy?
Do we want to recess so that we can go and look that up?
Madam President.
Actually,
What, hang on a second here.
Trustees.
Attorney Conrad.
yeah, trustees, to the extent that this helps, Neola's attorneys have already looked this over, also have conferred with the public access counselor whose responsibility is to interpret what the statute says. Eric Holcomb has nothing to do with the statute. The statute is passed by the General Assembly, and any amendments to the open door law or in terms of the Open Meetings Act, once the General Assembly passes it, it gets passed over to the access counselor. It's the access counselor's job and responsibility to interpret that for everyone, not Governor Holcomb. And the access counselor has opined that meetings, as defined already in statute, because there was no change to that, includes executive sessions.
All right, Trustee Spencer?
We've already been torn on this. This has been going on 4 months, so I don't think anyone has to say they weren't ready for this. I didn't even realize this particular policy was up again. We're not going to come into agreement. I think we already are aware of that. I have said on several occasions, as well as Trustee Blake King, that we do not agree with this.
Okay, can you give me the policy number again, Trustee Blake King? Which policy number it is?
That's 16, oh, I put it up.
0164.5.
164.5.
Okay, are there any objections to taking that policy separately from the other ones, folks? Can we just do that to move forward?
You mean vote on it separately?
Yes. We'll just vote on that one separately, rather than
Yes.
having them all voted down?
I will amend my motion to remove 0164.5 from the big motion.
All right, Manny, do you still second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. Can we go ahead and vote on this? All right. All in favor of approving these policies as presented with the one exception, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay. I will look for a motion to take that final policy.
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move that we adopt Board Policy 0164.5 as presented.
Madam President,
Second.
I have a motion.
I said Madam President before he seconded.
The proper protocol is to get a motion and a second before there's discussion.
Yeah. Or are you looking to second?
No.
Okay, you're looking for discussion?
No, my motion was to ask Trustee Murphy to table it, to amend her motion to table it for further discussion.
That request would come during the discussion portion of after this motion has been seconded, because if the motion didn't have a second, it would have died. So the proper process is for the motion, for a second, and then discussion.
Okay, so we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've got discussion. Is there any other discussion or comment on this item? Any other discussion or comment on this item? She's asked you to table it.
I would prefer, we have had literally over an hour of discussion. I wouldn't mind recessing if we want to bring up the Indiana statute, which backs this policy up.
I second the recess.
I know. All right. How about this? We have a motion, we have a second.
I'm going to advise the board, you are not allowed to go into executive session. That is not permissible. So you are not allowed to go into an executive session.
But we have.
No. I am not asking for executive session. I'm asking for a 5-minute recess.
Because you want to look at the statute yourself.
I have the law. I can
Okay.
read it.
All right. So if you're looking to make a secondary motion, we can do that. You would need a second to table that. Then we would vote on the motion whether or not to table it or not. If that were to fail, then we'd go back to the primary motion. So you're moving to table it. Is there a second to table it?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a secondary motion
Wait.
to table this.
No, I think you can't, it's not a matter to table it because you have a motion on the floor. You can ask the person who made the motion whether or not they want to withdraw the motion.
I disagree. You can do a secondary motion to a primary motion.
Do you have
And
the
if
book?
the secondary motion is approved, it becomes the primary motion. If it doesn't, if it's not approved, then it goes back to the original motion. I know we've had some disagreement on this previously, but I feel pretty confident that that's how the rules of order are how it's supposed to go.
Again, maybe a 5-minute recess so we can get the book.
We can take a 5-minute recess to review the Robert's Rules of Order to see if we can allow the secondary motion. Okay, otherwise we have to vote on the primary motion. All right? So we'll take 5 minutes. We'll take a quick look at our Robert's Rules of Order, and then we'll go from there. Okay, everybody, I want to thank you very much for your patience. We definitely want to try to get this right and give everybody a chance to be heard. So after reviewing the extensive Robert's Rules of Order, Trustee Billy King, if you could modify your motion to be a motion to postpone.
Well, hang on, first off, the motion she made is out of order, so that has to be deemed out of order.
Okay.
Okay? And the reason that it's out of order, because she asked for the motion to be tabled, and Robert's Rules of Order says you cannot just simply table motions indefinitely. So that, you as the president have to deem that motion as out of order. And then
You would make a new motion, then a motion to postpone, but you have to give a given date. So would you like to postpone?
given date.
Would you like to postpone the discussion then to our next public work session, or to our next regular board meeting, or when would you, when the next when would you like the date to be? That would be the next step. So the original motion wasn't appropriate as worded. You can make a motion, though, to postpone to our next public work session, if you'd like to do that.
Excuse me.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it would in order to be a proper motion, you'd have to make the motion for a specific period of time. And if you're going to do this at your work session, then that work session is going to get turned into a meeting, because you can't postpone this board approval until it's a board meeting.
Okay, because it's a vote.
Right.
Okay.
October 17th
All right.
is our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Right, but we could choose to have discussion on it at the next public work session if we wanted to, but the next vote would be October 17th. Okay, so that would be what you would be asking, is it to postpone till October 17th?
You all were back there all that time, and you're still confused on what we're going to do. Okay.
So would you like to make that motion? Because
Yeah,
the original motion...
You want me to do it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King.
I make a motion that we postpone Board Policy 0164.5 until our next regular board meeting in October.
17th.
October 17th. All right, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this motion, the secondary motion?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I urge my fellow board members not to table this. And the reason being is this. This came before the board on August 3. Am I hearing me? All right, I'll move this
It
closer.
is hard to hear.
Yeah, you guys may have to, part of your public participation is that folks can be present, but they're not to make comments to the point where it interrupts the board. If you guys need to take a recess because audience participation, then you guys will need to
Guys,
consider
we just need everybody to be, like, quiet. The monitors aren't working tonight, and we're struggling, okay? I'm being honest.
All right, so this board policy was originally approved August 3rd, 2021. It had a public work session, it had first and second reading, and final adoption. At no time was there any issues with the board. We've got the tape to back it up. 21, not 23, 21. So this was originally approved in August 3 of 2021. If you pull up the board policy, you will see the adoption date. Now, having said that, what is the board actually changing tonight? So for some reason, Neola doesn't like the word must. And so they're changing the word must with shall. So there's two instances in this policy where must is changed to shall. Not a big deal. It means pretty much the same thing, but they like semantics in there. The next thing that it changes is it adds in this paragraph at the very end. Otherwise, this board policy is verbatim with what was approved in August of 2021. It states, subject to the limitations listed above, a board member who plans to attend a meeting by any electronic means of communication shall notify the board president and superintendent no less than 48 hours before the meeting so that arrangements can be made for the board members' participation by electronics means. We discussed this at the public work session. Actually, it was more onerous. It was a shorter period of time. And everybody discussed it and decided that 48 hours before the meeting is plenty of time for the superintendent to get people available and do this. Those are the only changes. Everything else is exactly the same. We have discussed this in a public work session, we have had the readings, and now it is up for final adoption. So I urge you not to table it tonight, because it's not necessary. The changes don't change anything from what was happening in 2021, other than to say you need 48 hours notice so that our IT people can make sure that everything's up and running for the person who wants to be electronically with the meeting. Thank you.
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King.
what has changed is when Trustee King wanted to use virtual as a means to attend the meetings. That's what's changed. And that changed this year. That's what's changed. The issue of me attending virtually, because I didn't declare what this majority board wanted me to declare as my reasoning for needing virtual meetings. I only missed one meeting as a result of that. So I'm playing their game. Against my better health and wisdom and safety, I attend 2 board meetings, and then I'm eligible to see 2 virtually, or vice versa. That happened this year. That's why I'm questioning this board policy, based on what the governor said in 2021. You eliminated, you went to the public access counselor and convinced him to come up with some ridiculous language. That's all there. So that you were literally targeting Trustee Blake King to muzzle me, to prevent me from attending meetings virtually. That's the bottom line, and that's what's changed. So let's just move on. Vote your 3-2, because we're going to be here all night. Vote 3-2 not to do it, and let's move on.
All right, is there any other discussion or comment on this motion to postpone till October 17th meeting? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Blake King?
I'm voting to postpone the thing. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes.
You're voting
Yes,
yes.
yeah.
Trustee Spencer?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Candelera?
No.
And Trustee Miller is also no.
The majority, super majority 3.
So
Thank you.
that kicks us back to the main motion, which I believe was a motion to approve this policy, right, to adopt this policy. We've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had plenty of discussion. We'll take a roll call vote on this one as well. Trustee Candelaria?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Spencer?
No.
Trustee Blake King?
No.
Trustee Miller also votes yes. So that set of policies has been approved. Superintendent Miller?
Okay, our second set of policies from Neola was a special update that came out in July 2023 that addressed changes from the spring legislative session. So I'm asking them to be approved as presented.
All right, do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy?
I move that we adopt Board Policy 1521, 2221, 2414, 2416, 2510, 2520, 3120.02, 3121, 3220.01, 4121, 5710, 5720, 6152, 9130, 9700, as presented.
All right, so
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Any abstentions? All right, so I think that was 4-1. All right, we'll move on to the minutes. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the executive session minutes together.
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy?
I move for the approval of the July 18, 2023, and the August 15, 2023 executive session minutes as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the 2 sets of executive session minutes we have here. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Oppose.
Any abstentions? All right, I entertain a motion for the approval of the regular board meeting minutes for July 18th and July 15th.
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move that we approve the minutes of July 18, 2023, and August 15, 2023, as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Take a motion for this item.
Madam President, I motion for the approval of the consent agenda items A through F.
Thank you, Trustee Spencer. Any second? And a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion, Madam President.
Trustee Blake King.
I would like to read into record the accounts payable docket register for September 19, 2023. Our claims were $7,654,149.72. Our payroll was $6,373,878.09. Madam President, I would also ask us, just for the first time, to pay attention to our donations. We never do. And I would like to commend a lot of these folks for the money they're contributing to us. A lot of our donors, I won't go into it, but I would recommend that the taxpayers look under donations and see the generous dollars that are coming from various entities. Additionally, under payroll, I'm still confused with this executive summary. I'll be through in a minute. Where did it go? Payroll. Payroll executive summary. I don't see it. Or maybe is that under personnel? Well, I'll deal with the.
Oh, I think it's under personnel report, Trustee Blake.
Okay. I'm sorry. Under personnel report. The executive summary, again, for clarification, for my point. When we say there are 669 total teaching positions, we're not saying that all 669 positions are filled, correct? Personnel, who can answer that? Under the executive summary.
I believe I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that is the accurate number of how many are filled right now.
So bottom line, we're supposed to have 669. There are 669 positions.
No, 669 being paid.
Right. So based on last year, it was 773. So we have reduced the number of teaching positions?
Well, we did not bring back as many of our emergency permit teachers as had ended at the end of June.
Okay. And then I had a question regarding, at our last August 15th board meeting, at that board meeting, the administrative salary schedule was posted July 1, 2022, and I had requested various information regarding this document, and I have not received it to date. I have requested, we have steps of 1 through 6. We have salaries as low as $80,000 plus to $148,000 plus. And my question was, how many people are in step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 of each one of these steps? I wasn't asking for names. I was just asking for positions. And a coordinator, what is that? Because a coordinator starts at 96 all the way to 109,000. What does a coordinator do? Coordinator?
So coordinators are like our safety and security coordinator, like John Suarez is an example of a coordinator. But they typically don't have a lot of human resources that they supervise. Like, they're typically not management of people, but they have Sarah Ligon is a coordinator over health services.
That's why I requested this report. So, because it appears that this overspending that we're constantly hearing we want to put it on the backs of our teachers and our support staff. But if we get a clear picture of this administrative salary schedule, we can see what we spent here as well. So I'm hoping I requested on behalf of the board, that we get this information ASAP. That was my question under administrative salaries. And finally, under this 14, 15-page personnel report, these transfers that appear on it, to say the least, I'm appalled, totally upset. I can understand it. I've heard both sides, and all I saw was total chaos. Here we are in the 6th week, I believe, of school. School started August 17th, and we're still in the process of scheduling our children for classes. We're not considering children first. We're not considering how this is affecting them. We didn't consider the test scores that our kids have been facing with. And as far as I'm concerned, we have failed. I'll say we. We have failed them because we have not provided the resources. We provided total chaos. Change every year. All these transfers, and then to understand that this was supposed to be worked out this summer or whenever. We come to school, we're sitting there comfortable, everything's moving. We got things in place. We got hall monitoring moving down to 4 minutes instead of 5. That's a major accomplishment to get these kids back in their classes when in 4 minutes it's 4 to 5. Then all of a sudden we got this disruption. And I don't care what I hear, I've heard both sides, it should not have never happened. These children have been affected academically, social and emotional learning, and this is one board member that I'm tired of the excuses. It should have never happened. And if you're talking about, we're in the process of moving teachers and staff around, in the event we have to get rid of them, again, before we start putting that fear in our teachers and support staff, we need to start getting the fat out of this budget because it's there, and we know it's there. So this personnel report with all these transfers and what have you, and then the biggest thing, we've lost seasoned, veteran teachers because of this. Science teachers, math teachers. They said enough is enough. But we don't get it. Oh, I don't know why I don't know why they did this. Well, I might not know, but I understand. This personnel report is appalling of all these transfers for whatever reason, and we need to get our act in order for the sake of these children, because it's children first. Thank you very much. I'm through.
Call for the vote.
All right, I have a call for the vote. I've got a call for the question. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
And any abstentions? All right. Moving on to new business.
I do
Oh,
have
I'm so
yeah,
sorry. I
no
knew I was
problem.
going to do that.
Yeah. We do have a new principal at Edison, and we have our elementary director here. Tony Salinas, you want to introduce our new principal, Stephanie? Stephanie, come on up.
Oh, we had a new teacher?
Good evening, community members, Superintendent Miller and President Miller and board members. I am very excited to introduce Stephanie Kovacic. She is going to serve as our new elementary principal at Edison Elementary. So welcome Stephanie Kovacic to Team Elementary.
Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm very excited. I was a child going through the school city of Hammond when I graduated at George Rogers Clark. And I've been working in the school city. This is the start of my 18th year, and all of those years have been at Edison, with the last 5 being the assistant principal. So I've worked really close with all the families, the students, the staff, so I'm really excited to be entering to this new role. So I'm really excited, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. right, now we can move forward with new business.
Trustees, our first item on new business, I am asking for a immediate adoption of policies 5136 and 513601, which are our cell phone policies, the board policies regarding personal communication devices, to update them to be consistent with our expectation that we've had this year that personal communication devices have to be turned off and put away at school.
Motion to deviate from our policy.
All right, do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move that we deviate from our policy and waive the requirement for 2 readings and adoption and amend board policies 5136 and 5136.01 as requested by the administration to be effective immediately.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item?
Abstain.
Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
And 1 abstention. All right, moving on to item B.
Trustees, for item B, I'm going to call up our DEI Director, Latera Smith, to just give a quick introduction about what work we're doing here. I see Mr. Reed in the audience as well. Why don't you come on up?
Good evening, Superintendent Miller, President Miller, and Board of Trustees. I am here accompanied by Franklin Reed of Global Consulting Solutions. I'm requesting approval of the submitted contract for teacher and staff professional development aligned to the School City of Hammond Strategic Plan District Priority 3, Commitment to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and is recommended in the district's program audit.
All right. Mr. Reed, why don't you tell the board what you'll be, if they approve, what you would be doing for us?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it. It's good to see all of you. We are looking forward to the opportunity to bring new teachers onto the same learning platform of the unconscious bias training that we've had the privilege of delivering over the last couple of years. We recognize that there are new teachers into the district, and the goal is to, or we genuinely believe that when there's a shared goal and a shared lexicon, that's when we can move forward together as a whole organism. But with new teachers coming in, they don't have that yet. And so the opportunity to come into several of the schools and to bring them up to speed is what we're looking forward to. You'll notice in the proposal, it includes, because of the long-term relationship we have with the district, it includes several classes at no cost, which we understand and recognize some of the financial challenges that the district has, but look forward to bringing those new teachers up to speed.
So I didn't mention the amount. It's $9,000 paid out of Title II, one of our federal funds that has to be for professional development.
All right. All right, do we have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Spencer.
I motion for the approval of the contract with Global Consulting Solutions.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion.
Trustee Blake King.
Could we just read into record 3.1, commitment to improve School City of Hammond culture with emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. 3.3, identify professional development and educational interventions to reduce student achievement gaps, foster an equitable environment, and ensure success for all. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, any other questions or comments on this policy? Or, I'm sorry, on this contract? Anyone? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right,
Thank you.
sounds like we're good there. Thank you so much for being with us tonight and for your patience. Item C.
Trustees, I am recommending the approval of our dual language immersion curriculum benchmark Adelante. Federal grants funding for year 1 of 3 in the amount of $50,413. The education fund will pay for year 2 and year 3 in the amount of $16,115. This is going to be our core curriculum for dual language immersion program that we have at Irving Elementary, where we are teaching English and Spanish at the same time to our students.
All right, very good. Do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Candelaria.
I move for the approval of the DLI curriculum benchmark adelante as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion.
Trustee Willie King.
Have we used this group before? Is it the same one?
No, we are replacing our current program, which is, I want to say around Mi Vision Lectura. We are moving away from that and adopting benchmark Adelante.
Okay, so hopefully they will be able to pinpoint some of the issues regarding achievement.
So this is specifically just for the Irving dual language.
I understand that, but that
program, but yes.
it still helps in the long run, their academic achievement, right?
Yes.
If you can understand, certainly you will do better academically. So, okay, I'm glad if you thought there was a need to change vendors, fine. Thank you.
Okay, other questions or comments?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
they provided the second grade curriculum to us, and I read it during the executive session. It is really tough. I would not want to be a second grader over there. So they're really holding those children to high standards and pushing that curriculum with them to learn a lot of vocab and conjugation and the whole bit. Very impressive.
Very good, very good. All right, any other comments or questions? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, moving on to item D.
Trustees, we had 2 teachers apply for Acorn grants through the Hammond Education Foundation and receive awards. One is for the Modern Classroom Project in the amount of $500. The second is in the PLTW Medical Detectives Program in the amount of $2,466.
All right, do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President.
Trustee Spencer?
I motion for the approval of the Acorn Grant Awards for Eggers Middle School.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion.
Trustee Blake King.
I certainly applaud Eggers Middle School for receiving this grant award. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, any other discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, moving on to item E.
Trustees, I am recommending the approval of the DLI Pilot Program Grant Award. DOE, even though we're not in a pilot anymore, we've had it for several years. They allow us existing programs to continue to apply for this money. It's in the amount of $18,000, and it is for basically additional professional development and travel expenses for our DLI teachers.
All right, is there a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Blake King.
I move that for the approval of the 2023-24 DLI Pilot Program Grant.
Hey, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, item F.
Trustees, item F, I am recommending approval of the multifunction school activity bus bid award. This, that's a mouthful, but basically we put this out for bid to see where we could get buses. The board has actually already approved this, but we were not able to get buses due to supply shortages, so we had to rebid it to get new costs. Or we actually were able to get a couple buses, but this is the remaining buses. The board right member, we got $500,000 from the state for leading in career and technical education completion, and this is to provide more buses for our CTE kids to get onto workforce and job sites.
All right.
The amount's $239,850 for the buses.
All right, and it's grant funded, as you
100% grant funded, no school funds expended.
All right.
Exactly.
We have a motion for this item.
Madam President.
Trustee Candelaria.
I move for the approval of the multifunction school activity buses bid award as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, item G.
Trustees, we also put out to bid for maker spaces in our 4 secondary schools. This is consistent with our goal to become STEM certified at our 4 high schools, to provide equipment in there and curriculum to do that STEM education. And ultimately, you know, we are a district that is in year 3 or 4 of New Tech. Many of those projects could be more lifelike if kids were actually able to produce them. And this is going to give them the capabilities to be able to produce the projects that they're making. So the overall amount, and this would cover the equipment and installation and training and curriculum for all 4 high schools, is $674,206. It will close out the 2022 Title I, II, and IV grants, which have to be spent out by the end of September, or we lose that money. And if there's any balance left over, because we have some other POs out, so I can't give you exact amount right now, it'll be paid out of the ESSER 3. But, go ahead.
I would say, Superintendent Miller, can you clarify where this is going?
It's going to be, we're going to have a makerspace in Hammond Central, Morton High School, Scott Middle School, and Eggers Middle School.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right. Do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move that we approve the bid award to Makerspace.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion, Madam President.
Trustee
I
Blake.
recall either it was an email or regarding when will STEM finally be part of our school district, and I think Dr. Roush, it was either a presentation indicated that it will be soon. So how soon can we expect? The only reason I raise that, I'm reading the newspaper. Our district next door to us already have 5 STEM elementary schools. We don't have one,
Trustee
as
Blake.
far as I understand. So could you answer that, for somebody answer me, when are we going to get STEM as approved by the state into our district?
Trustee Blake King, maybe we can hold that for the public work session. Should just be on the bidding of
We
this
are
particular
talking about
item.
STEM education.
But
STEM education, so that,
But the question didn't come ahead of time. No one's prepared to talk about that
you
right
said
now.
discussion.
Well, but
It's on the motion.
it's on the motion, but the question itself, you're asking for like detailed information that no one's here to provide.
Okay,
Dr.
Madam
Roush isn't here
President, if you
tonight.
choose not
So,
to answer the question or have Mr. Miller to answer it,
Hey,
that's fine with me.
he will answer
Let's
the
move
question.
forward, please. The time.
Well,
Go home.
the question will be answered just at an appropriate time. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this particular item on the contract? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Just abstain.
And one abstention. All right, item H.
Trustees, we did put out to bid again our snow removal, and our strong recommendation is to continue with the current plan, which just pays per call-out instead of prepaying for the whole season. Just to give some examples, last year, if we would have prepaid for the whole season, it would have cost us $88,000. Due to the low amount of snow, we ended up only spending about $9,800. So we've looked over a 5-year period. Every year, we would have saved money by doing it this way on a per instance basis. So that continues to be my recommendation for snow removal. So I am recommending the contract or the bid award to Snow and Ice Pros in the amount of $11,960 per call-out.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Miller. Do we have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Spencer.
I motion for the approval of snow removal bid award to Snow and Ice Pros Incorporated.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second from Trustee Candelaria. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No? All right, good. Item F, or I'm sorry, item I.
Trustees, I am recommending the approval of the MOU with Books, Brushes, and Bands. This was what Mr. Ian was speaking about earlier tonight for our continued partnership.
All right.
No cost to the district.
Is there a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Candelaria.
I move for the approval of the MOU with Books, Brushes, and Bands for Education as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, item J.
Trustees, I'm recommending the approval of the MOU between Hammond Central and Geminis for their Too Good for Drugs program. The name kind of explains the intention, but it also provides an additional $3,000 to market the anti-drug curriculum.
Awesome. Is there a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move for the approval of the MOU between Hammond Central High School and Geminis Corporation, Too Good for Drugs, as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Great. Moving on to item K.
Trustees, I'm going to let Michelle talk about it here for a second, but essentially, New Tech contacted us about having a free opportunity to participate in a collaborative process. Michelle, you want to describe a little better than I can what this entails?
Yes, this is a collaborative process between us and Lake Ridge and other schools throughout the country. Again, looking at New Tech and looking at what the kids are doing beyond high school and helping us bridge that gap from high school, what career paths they choose, or college paths, or trade paths, or whatever paths they choose to exit the high school, and then also to the secondary world or to a workforce. So this collaborative is one that is free, as Mr. Miller said, and we'll be tapping into resources and other school districts that have done this work to make sure that we make it seamless, and we will utilize what they found to be true to be positive and rewarding for their kids, and try to implement them here at the school city of Hammond.
Thank you, Mrs. Reese. Is there a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Spencer.
I motion for the approval of MOU for New Tech Network College Access Collaborative Participation.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Moving on to item L.
Trustees, I am recommending the approval of the MOU with Starbase. If you recall, Ms. Angie Briggs came and presented to you about our students going to Starbase to spend a week on STEM activities. There is no cost to the district except for the transportation to get there.
All right. Is there a motion for
Madam
this
President?
item? Trustee Candelaria.
I move for the approval of the MOU of Starbase Indiana, Inc. as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
Discussion.
Trustee Murphy.
I love this.
It's good.
That presentation was out of this world.
Yeah.
It looks like, literally, Starbase. With the elementary schools, hands-on STEM activities. So when we do that public work session, we have so many different things we're doing with STEM. So please bring it all together, because I'm sorry, I sometimes forget, and if you put it in one spot, I can go back to board docs and say, oh yeah, we do this, we do that. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be great for the report.
Madam
All right,
President.
Trustee Blake King.
Mr. Miller, you had indicated that you were going to arrange a tour for us to go, because you didn't want us to go on our own. So could you please,
Yeah.
at some point,
Yes.
for those who want to attend, I would love to see for myself. Thank you. It is a great program.
All right, is there any other discussion or comment on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anybody abstaining? All right, item M.
Trustees, I am recommending the approval of the contract with Savas Learning Company for the SIOP model, part of our expectation in developing our teaching abilities with our multi-language students is through our SIOP model. So the contract amount is in $17,700. Is this really Title II or Title III? Tony, SIOP's Title III, isn't it? Two? No, Title II? Oh, which one is it? Two? Okay, it is Title II. All right, thank you. All right, that's it.
All right, do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move for the approval of the contract with Savas Learning Center, SIOP model as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, moving on to item N.
Trustees, we've asked you to approve this before, but the approval for Grand Canyon University doesn't cost the district any, but it allows any students who want to complete their teaching license in an online program at a reduced cost. So that's all this is. So I am recommending the approval.
All right, is there a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Spencer.
I motion for the approval of Grand Canyon University agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, item O.
Trustees, I'm recommending the approval of the ASCA Model Program application for RAMP for Eggers, Hammond Central, and Morton High School. Each school is $500 to apply. But this is the, Scott Middle School already has this certification. But this is the school counseling certification put on by the National American School Counselors Association.
And I'm not seeing where it's being paid from. I'm sorry.
I also see that that is not in here. Michelle, Eric, anybody know?
I'm sorry, I didn't notice it till now. If you could just let us know.
I will absolutely let you know. The total amount, it's $500 per school, so this is not a major expenditure, but yes, I'll let you know.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion for this item?
Madam President,
Trustee Murphy.
I move for the approval of the ASCA Model Program application for Eggers Middle School, Hammond Central High School, and Morton High School as presented.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? So it's 2 schools, right?
3.
3 schools.
Hammond
Okay.
Central, Eggers, and Morton High.
All right, so $1,500. All right, is there any discussion on this item?
We've had discussion.
All right, so we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody. All right, we're good. Item P.
Last one, I am recommending the approval of the Head Start contract with Clarity Clinic for behavioral health. We are required to have behavioral health as part of our grant. The amount is in $8,540. It does not come out of any district funds. It comes out of the Head Start grant.
All right, do we have a motion for
Madam
this item?
President,
Trustee
I
Candelaria.
move for the approval of the Head Start contract with Clarity Clinic for behavioral health services as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Wonderful. That completes our new business. We'll move on to our calendar of upcoming meetings. Our next meeting will be on October 3rd at 6 p.m. Here at the Administration Center. It'll be a public work session, and then we will have an executive session and regular school board meeting on October the 17th. Trustee Candelaria.
Public expression, second period regarding general matters. First community member is going to be Kelly Miller.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name's Kelly Miller. I have not been here for a while due to health reasons. However, I've been on the back burner watching after the last time I was here talking about some issues concerning Scott Middle School. I felt like I was told I was being negative because I was talking about the issues and what's going on and what needs to be fixed. Friday is a prime example of what I was trying to avoid. My daughter is a student there.
Mm-hmm.
I personally did not send her on Friday because, one, why am I getting a parent square message at 8:16 when school starts at 8:15 that there is an emergency e-learning day? Talk about inconvenient. Most of the parents here are either single parents, and if there's 2 in the household, they both work. There were kids literally walking out of that school. There are 27 admins at 41 William Street, making over 100,000? Is that what I heard from the teachers? Where were the 27 of them teaching classes at Scott? Wow. Because you guys probably have a teaching license. And if you don't, you're definitely qualified to be a sub, making that kind of money. But yet we call an emergency e-learning day. So who at the end of the day suffers? The kids. It was an e-learning day. Were there anything, did my daughter have anything posted? Nope. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, guys. You literally can see the tension and the bicker, and it's like Mean Girls in here. I mean, come on. But we want to do better for our kids. I had an issue. Not only did I have that happen on Friday with the school city, but I had an issue at the football game on Friday at Morton, where my kids were separated. I had one kid out and one kid in. And you know what they told me? They didn't care. Ooh. One of my children is still in elementary school. For them to be separated is completely unacceptable. And then they pick and choose who they want to let in and who they're gonna do. I'm livid. However, those are previous Scott kids, some previous Scott teachers.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, so I get my time taken up, but you guys take more than 5 minutes. The CFO is talking about how 90%.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
Salary and benefits are 90% of our spending.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Okay, I don't need a microphone.
It's okay. I do need you to sit down, though, okay? I'm sorry. All right, Trustee Candelaria?
Next community member, Mary Moriarty.
On a lighter note, I would like to invite all board members to come to Scott Middle School's open house tomorrow. It's from 4 to 6.
Thank you.
Next community member, Barbara Garcia.
Hello.
Good evening.
I am
Hello.
a retired school city. I am a retired school city of Hammond employee. I am raising 2 of my grandchildren, so this is my second go-round with the elementary and middle schools at Hammond. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. What is happening at Scott? We're not even going to talk about Friday. But the schedule changes. I have a young boy who's first time in middle school. He's a 7th grader. He has anxiety issues. He's ADHD. His schedule has been changed 8 times. I'm not talking about one class. I'm talking about his entire schedule. He got a letter from his gym teacher saying, don't buy your gym uniform until next week. Your schedule may change. It's ridiculous. It doesn't take that long to make a schedule. I'm sorry. And I know of a little boy he sat in the office for 4 classes and was marked absent for 4th period 4 times because he should have been in 4 different places. I don't know about you. I can't do that. My second point is the referendum. I am a voter. I am a property owner in Hammond. And until I know what you spent that other money on, you won't get another dime from me. Not at all.
Next community member, Wanda Puckett.
Oh, Lord.
Good evening.
Good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Wanda Puckett. I got 2 questions for you all. You have 26 to 27 kids, sometimes 35 kids in a classroom. You have the teacher and the support staff. The teachers are going to be dealing with one half of the class, support staff is going to be dealing with the other half. Why are you all trying to get rid of the support staff that the teachers really count on in the classroom? Those support staff really do need, and the teachers need their job, especially if you got autistic kids in the classroom. They help out the teachers and the kids feel more comfortable being with the support staff than with some of the teachers. And y'all sitting up here looking at me like that. I'm going to speak up for all these autistic parents, grandparents, uncles, aunties, because I have 2 of my own. Yes, I am going to fight for them. If it means that I got to fight for every last one of these kids that are autistic, I will. And y'all sit up here trying to divide these students? No. I read what's going on in Hammond. Let's do an extra fest. We got too many food trucks around here. Find a vacant lot. Let the community come together like that. We all need to get together and start to eat each other's cooking. Support each other instead of downgrading each other. Because I'm not for that. I'm a biracial family. And quite you know it, there's a lot of us out here biracial in our family too. So let's stop this and come together and support the staff as well as the teachers. Because those teachers, they got it hard. Without the support staff, they wouldn't know what to do. Half of them teachers still going in their pocket buying supplies for their classroom. Support staff going in their pocket helping the classrooms out. So please do not transfer any support staff. Autistic kids, they don't adapt too well to changes. You're going to uproot them when they already got used and accustomed to what they already have. Leave them where they are. Because I'm out here speaking for I don't care what color they are, autistic kids, parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And if I have to keep coming to the school board meeting for this, I will.
Thank you.
Next community member is going to be Rena Horgan.
Good evening.
Good evening. Last-minute changes to school schedules, classroom staffing, and changing student schedules, sometimes daily, are not beneficial to retaining students, families, or staff. Doing this 5 weeks into the school year or allowing changes to continue shows lack of planning and foresight. You've known where you stood with the numbers before school started, yet we are still making these changes 5 weeks in. This lack of proper planning has caused grief and distress, both with students and their families and staff. Larger class sizes are not beneficial for anyone, nor is the constant changing of staff and schedules. These actions do not follow your strategic plan. We need to do better. I'd like to comment one more thing. As far as lesson goes with what Ms. Miller said, your teachers did leave lesson plans. The problem is, because of changing of schedules on the daily, they couldn't put it in to Power School or into Schoology because the students changed daily. So if on Thursday I left and put my plans in, Friday I had new students who couldn't get that plan. So those teachers did leave lesson plans for their students on their desks, but admin couldn't find them. That's on them, not on the teachers. Thank you.
Next community member is going to be Darcy Lopez. Is there a Darcy Lopez in the audience? Next community member is going to be Mary Ellen Slazik.
It's been a few years since I've been here. I've got grandchildren in the Hammond schools, 1 in middle school, 3 in grade school. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing. I'm not happy with what I'm hearing. Not happy at all. I'm a product of the Hammond schools, a lot of you know. I haven't been there, like I say, for a few years, but proud to say when I went to Hammond High, graduated in '71, go Wildcats, it was a good school system back then. Unfortunately, it's been going down. When I stopped going to the board meetings 3.5 years ago because of my husband's terminal cancer, there was problems in the schools, but what I'm seeing now is just ridiculous. It's appalling. And it makes me very sad that my grandchildren have to go through this and other children have to go through this. There is no stability in our schools. There's no safety or security either. My one grandson that goes to Eggers, he fights every day. He shouldn't have to see that. You know, hey, when I was in school, there'd be a fight now and then, but nothing like now. They should go there for their education and not to witness a free-for-all. There's no structure in our schools. Then you got the state breathing down your necks, with good reason. It's a mess here. And the responsibility lies in this building because the right thing isn't being done for our kids or grandkids. And as for this referendum, golly, I remember I was telling people, hey, you know, what you hear might not be exactly the way it is. That one that passed, we were told that if it didn't pass, schools could be consolidated, closed, teachers could be laid off, staffs could be laid off, so on and so forth. Look what happened. That's exactly what happened. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Next community member is going to be Pat Landon.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm not sure if what I'm asking is proper, but I had called and the lady told me to come down. I went to Hammond High and I did the walkthrough and they had a plaque outside the auditorium of all the World War II people who had died, the men and a woman who had passed away, and where they died in Europe. Well, I called the school and says, where is it? And they told me it's in storage. I don't want to see it buried in storage. And they told me to see if you guys could get it out and place it. It could go in the library, maybe it can go in City Hall, somewhere. And as a second thing, what I would ask you to do is because they've never done anything for the Vietnam people. They've never done anything for the people that went to Iraq, Afghanistan. Hammond has a really nice parade for veterans. If you could get students maybe to put up a program, like a community thing, where all Hammond veterans could send their name, a picture, because names don't do anything. If you see a picture, it's with you a bit more. They could post it on like the Hammond, Go Hammond, whatever, somewhere. But I don't know if this makes sense to you people. But I think the veterans deserve something. I think Memorial Day, the people that died in war deserve something, and they should not be forgotten. These were all people who went to Hammond and graduated in schools. That's all.
Thank you.
Next community member is going to be Michael Santos. Do we have a Michael Santos in the audience? Next community member is going to be Queen Alexander. That concludes everyone written in for second session public expression.
Thank you, Trustee Candelaria. Superintendent Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Madam President, point of order, please.
Trustee Blake King.
Mr. Miller, the questions that can be answered by our public, could you please respond to them and let us know the ones that you can?
I'm sorry, can you clarify, you wanted me to do it right this moment, or I'm not sure what you're asking?
Of course not.
Okay.
To do the research, especially the last lady, well, I'm not going to call names, but everyone had a valid concern, and I think we need to address them. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, I have some invitations here for the Latino Resource Fair, and that we are now in Hispanic Heritage Month. The Latino Resource Fair is going to be held Saturday, October 7th at Morton High School from 10 to 2. It's a great community event. We have all sorts of partners come out. We've had close to 1,000 people attend. We have food trucks, yes.
Elotes.
Yes. We had a great Stepping Into My Future event, and Trustee Blake King, do you want to speak for a moment? I know you were able to attend it at Morton High School.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Please, you're talking about the Latin Resource Fair?
No, the Morton Black Student Union.
Oh, the Black Student Union. Oh,
The
my
Stepping
God.
Into My Future
What a time
event.
we had with those young folks, exposing them to another way of, another avenue of going to college. Mrs. Linda Randolph, she was there with us. A lot of Greek, the kids were exposed to the Greek organizations, fraternities, sororities, the various black colleges. I think Clark was there, Jackson State, Lincoln University, and 3 others that I can't remember. But it was a tremendous success. I hope it's an annual event for young folks can be exposed to other areas of being educated and an opportunity of doing that. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
You're welcome. HAPA had a great performance out at the Wolf Lake Pavilion this past Friday night. They had the rock bands. They even had alumni come in and do lots of sets. I heard it went very well. We were able to send over 400 students board to the Indiana Latino Institute, or the educational summit they had in South Bend from Morton High School and Hammond Central. I'd like to thank our Hammond Fire Department. They distributed dictionaries to all of our 3rd grade students across all of our elementary schools this week. And I'd lastly like to thank Judge Julie Cantrell for visiting Wallace Elementary today for Constitution Day. That concludes the announcements.
All right, thank you. Take a motion for adjournment.
Moved.
Okay, this meeting